Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel John Lewis 3D Learning. In this presentation we are going to see chemical bonding in 10th standard. So we are going to see just introduction. So what is meant by chemical bonding, why that bond should form, and what happens when bond is formed. Everything we are going to see in detail. So we all know this is a periodic table and there are 118 elements in it, and they are classified into 18 groups and 7 periods. So that we have learned. But what they do normally, do they exist on their own or do they combine with one another and exist only in combination? That is, only they exist in compounds. So some elements exist individually in native state without combining with any other elements. But there are many elements which are very reactive. They can exist only in the combined form. So why do they combine in the very first place? All those things we should understand. See, like human being, everything in this world wants stability. Even these elements and their atoms want to attain stability. So what does that mean? Stability means what? Suppose we human being, we fall sick, we take medicine and we try to become normal and stable. Am I right? Same way. So all these atoms also, what they do, either they gain electrons or they lose electrons to become stable. So that's a thing we need to understand. And we need to understand why some elements are willing to donate. That means why they want to lose electrons and why some elements want to gain electrons. See, all these things based on certain rules. So that is what we are going to learn in this presentation. Okay, so in the periodic table, if you look at the last group, that is the 18th group of the periodic table, that is known as inert gases or noble gases. Why they are called inert gases? Because they do not react with any other element. Why they do not react with any other element? Because they are stable. How do you know they are stable? By looking at their electronic configuration, we can understand why they are stable. So what gives stability to all these elements? We can easily understand. Come, let's go and see that. So these are the various elements present in it. So you take the first element, helium. So its atomic number is 2. That means what? 2 electrons are present in it. So it is filled in the first orbit, K shell. First orbit is K shell. So K shell can maximum occupy 2 electrons. Therefore, the 2 electrons are filled in the first orbit. If you take the second element, see first element, the 2 electrons are present in the first orbit. That is the last orbit also, because it has only one orbit. So if you take neon, it has 10 electrons. Out of 10 electrons, so the first 2 electrons are filled up in the K shell because it can occupy maximum 2, and the remaining 8 electrons are filled up in the second orbit. So if the outermost orbit is having 8 electrons, then the atom is very stable. See, if you look at all the other elements also, so argon, krypton, xenon, radon. See, argon 18 electrons. How electrons are distributed? First shell 2, then second shell 8, third shell also 8. So last orbit is having 8 electrons. If you take krypton and if you arrange it in the order of increasing order of their orbits, the last orbit is having 8 electrons. Xenon, number of electrons are 54. It also has 8 electrons in the last orbit. Then radon, 86 electrons in total, but the last orbit is having 8 electrons. So from this, what we understand, why they are stable. So if the outermost orbit is having 8 electrons, that means what? Octet. Oct means how many? 8. If the outermost orbit of any atom is 8, that atom will be highly stable. They are not willing to react with any other element because they are already stable. They don't want to change themselves. So that is why they do not react with anything else. The first orbit alone can occupy only maximum 2 electrons. That is what is called duplet. So duplicate means what? 2, no? Duplicate of the other. So totally 2. The first orbit can a maximum occupy 2 electron. So if any element is having the first orbit is the outermost orbit, if it has 2 electron, that is more stable. So this is what we understand. So what's our final conclusion? If any element having the first orbit as the outermost orbit, if it has 2 electrons in the outermost orbit, that is duplet, 2 electrons in it, that is stable. All the other elements, those who are having number of orbits 2 or more, they should have 8 electrons in the outermost orbit, then they become very stable. So now you understand what gives the stability. The arrangement of electrons gives stability to the atom. If the last orbit, the outermost orbit has 8 electrons, that becomes stable, except hydrogen and helium, because hydrogen and helium have only one orbit in their atoms, therefore they cannot occupy more than 2 electrons. Okay, now let's see group number 1. So you take group number 1, that is called alkali metals, am I right? So these are the elements: hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. We have learnt everything in the last chapter, periodic table. Okay, now if you look at each and every element, the outermost orbit is having 1 electron. See, you look at all the elements: hydrogen 1, lithium 1, sodium 1, potassium also 1, and rubidium also is having only 1 electron in the outermost orbit, and cesium also has 1 electron, and francium also has 1 electron in the outermost orbit. Okay, so how it can attain stability now? What I told you, if they have 8 electrons in the outermost orbit, they become stable, isn't it? Except hydrogen and helium, they should have 2 electrons. So here, how is it possible? Except hydrogen, all the other elements have to gain 7 electrons to get the stability, am I right? But if you remove that 1 electron, if you remove the outermost orbit's 1 electron, so the penultimate orbit means what? Last but 1. If you remove the last orbit, which are having only 1 electron in all these alkali metals, now the penultimate orbit becomes the outermost orbit. Now this will have the complete duplet and octet, am I right? Lithium will have only 1 orbit, then that will have 2 electrons. All the other elements will have 8 electrons in the outermost orbit, therefore they become stable. Therefore all the alkali metals, how they attain stability? They all are willing to give away 1 electron to become stable. Where that will give that 1 electron to? Whomsoever can accept. If some other elements having 7 electrons in the outermost orbit, they all can accept that 1 electron to attain the stable octet, 8 electron structure, isn't it? So that is how those type of elements, by gaining electron, they become stable. Here alkali metals are having 1 electron in the outermost orbit and 8 electrons in the penultimate orbit, except lithium. Lithium is having 2 electrons in the penultimate orbit, because that is the first orbit. So by donating 1 electron, they all can become stable. So therefore they are willing to lose 1 electron to attain stability. So let us take group 2 elements now. So let us take the second group elements, alkaline earth metals. So if you look at the electronic configuration, the last orbit having 2 electrons. See, beryllium has 2 electrons. So that is, suppose you remove these 2 electrons, the first orbit, that will become the outermost orbit, that is having 2 electrons, that is duplet. If you take all the other elements, see, magnesium is also having 2 electrons in the outermost orbit, and calcium also, next one, calcium also has 2 electrons in the outermost orbit. You take strontium, that also has 2 electrons in the outermost orbit. Barium, so 2 electrons, and radon, that is also having 2 electrons. See, all these elements are having 2 electrons in the outermost orbit. But what about the penultimate cell? Penultimate means what? Last but 1, I told you. If you remove the last orbit, which are having 2 electrons, so you remove them, then what will you get? You will get the stable octet and duplet structure in the penultimate orbit. See, beryllium will have duplet, the first orbit having 2 electrons, completely filled, and all the other elements will be having 8 electrons in the outermost orbit. So that is what is the stable electronic configuration. Therefore all these alkaline metals have the tendency to lose 2 electrons in order to attain stability. They will be always ready to give the 2 electrons in order to attain stability. Okay, now let us take a few more groups of the periodic table. So let us take 16th group. So you take 16th group, chalcogens, that is oxygen group. See, oxygen is having 6 electrons in the outermost orbit. Like this, you take all the other elements, sulfur 6 electron, selenium, that is also having 6 electrons, tellurium, that is also having 6 electrons, polonium, that is also having 6 electrons. Okay, so they want to attain the octet structure. How it is possible? So far in the first group element and second group element, we have seen by donating the electron they can attain the octet structure. See here, the penultimate orbit is not having 8 electrons. Am I right? Therefore, even though they are willing to donate 6 electrons, they cannot attain stability. But instead of donating here, what it can easily do, all these elements can accept 2 electrons to attain the octet structure, that is 8 electrons. So gaining 2 electrons is easier than losing 6 electrons. Am I right? Therefore, these atoms will have the tendency to gain 2 electrons each. Okay, so now let us try to see the 17th group elements. So quickly we will see. They are called halogens. Fluorine is having 7 electrons. The second element, chlorine, is also having 7 electrons in the outermost orbit. Then bromine 7, iodine also 7, and astatine also 7. So if you remove the last orbit, the penultimate orbit is not having the stable octet structure, isn't it? Therefore, what it will do, it will not lose those 7 electrons. Instead, they can easily gain 1 electron each in order to attain stability. Isn't it? So simple it is. See, we have seen alkali metals, they are willing to lose 1 electron. Alkaline earth metals, they are willing to lose 2 electrons. Then chalcogens, that is oxygen groups, willing to lose 2 electrons, whereas halogens are willing to lose 1 electron in order to attain stability. So this is what we need to understand from the periodic table. Okay. So they all can attain the octet structure by gaining 1 electrons each. So now let us take what is meant by chemical bond. So now you can understand why these elements should react with one another. For example, the common salt we are having at home, what is that? Sodium chloride. So sodium is alkali metal, chloride is a halogen. How these two can combine? Similarly, lithium fluoride, how these two can combine? That is what is known as chemical bond. So let us see here. So before learning what is meant by chemical bond, so let us see some example. So a chemical bond may be defined as the force of attraction between any two atoms in a molecule to attain stability. So now we may not understand the meaning of what it is. So a chemical bond may be defined as a force of attraction. So there will be attraction between any two atoms in a molecule to attain stability. So why that force of attraction takes place? So let us try to understand, and then we will see the definition again. So there are 3 ways of creating a chemical bond, 3 methods. So what are they? First one, by donating 1 or more electrons. One atom will donate, the other atom will accept 1 or more electrons. Thereby we can create a bond. And second way is by equal sharing of 1 or more electrons. Both the atoms will share certain number of electrons and share them equally. Okay, what is the third type? So one atom donates and shares. See, the other atom accepts and shares. It will not accept completely, accept and shares. Similarly, the other atom donates and shares. So that is the first 2 points combined, donate and share. Okay, that is what is the third type of bonding. Okay, if one donates, the other accepts, that is known as ionic bond. If both shares equal number of electrons, that is covalent bond. And what is the third one? By donating and sharing, the type of bond is known as dative bond or coordinate bond. See, ionic bond also has got another name, electrovalent bond. Ionic bond or electrovalent bond. Okay, now let us see briefly what it is, but in the upcoming videos we will see about them elaborately with lot more examples. See here, by donating 1 or more electrons. See here, sodium has 1 electron in the outermost orbit, 8 electrons in the penultimate orbit. Therefore, it will be willing to donate 1 electron. So, chlorine has 7 electrons in the outermost orbit and 8 electrons in the penultimate orbit. Therefore, it will be willing to accept 1 electron. Therefore, here sodium donates and chlorine accepts. Thereby, sodium chloride is formed. There is a chemical bond created between sodium and chlorine. That is, a force of attraction takes place between sodium and chlorine. So what is that type of bond? When one donates and accepts, that is what is known as ionic bond. Okay. So we will see in detail with more examples in the upcoming videos. So this is ionic bond. So what is the second type? Sharing of electrons. So that is known as covalent bond by equal sharing of one or more electrons. For example, you take two hydrogen atoms. So hydrogen has one electron in the outermost orbit. You take two hydrogen atoms, both of them not willing to donate such electron because they want to attain stability by gaining one electron. Therefore, how that is possible for both the atoms to become stable? So both can share that one electron each. Both of them are having one electron each. Am I right? Therefore, they share equally. You can see the sharing equally at the right side of the picture. So thereby it attains the duplet structure. So here the first orbit can maximum occupy only 2 electrons. So it occupies 2 electrons now, therefore it becomes stable. So thereby here the bond created between hydrogen and hydrogen is what? Covalent bond, because this bond is formed by equal sharing of electrons. So what is the third type? By donating a pair of electrons and sharing equally. So just try to understand for the time being. See, nitrogen can form 3 bonds with 3 hydrogens by sharing equally. That is, 3 covalent bonds are formed. But nitrogen has 2 electrons extra on the outermost orbit now, free electron, that is called lone pair of electron. So that can donate its electron pair to another hydrogen ion and shares that electron pair with hydrogen. So hydrogen accepts that and shares with the nitrogen. That is why this bond is marked with an arrow mark. So nitrogen donates to hydrogen and shares it equally. So that bond is denoted by with an arrow mark. So nitrogen is pointing towards hydrogen. That means nitrogen donates and shares. So that bond is known as covalent bonding. Okay, so you need not worry much about it now. We are going to see them in detail in the upcoming videos one by one with more examples. Now try to understand what is ionic bond, what is covalent bond, and what is coordinate bond. One donates, other accepts, then the bond is ionic bond or electrovalent bond. Both shares equal number of electrons, then it is covalent bond. So one donates and shares, then this type of bonding is known as dative bond or coordinate bond. Okay, this is known as dative bond or coordinate bond. So what is the bond between sodium and chlorine? Sodium donates and chlorine accepts, therefore ionic bond. So what is the bond between hydrogen and hydrogen? They were sharing one electron equally, am I right? Therefore covalent bond. So what is the bond here in ammonium? So nitrogen donates one electron pair to hydrogen ion to form ammonium. Therefore this is dative bond or coordinate bond. Hope you got the basic idea about a chemical bond and you like them, and kindly share with your friends and fellow classmates. Please post your comment in the comment section below this video. Thank you very much for watching. Until we meet next time, bye bye.